So hey guys, welcome to 2-Bit Da Vinci Home. This is our second channel where we're going to focus on DIY, woodworking, home improvements, and other projects that are more kind of DIY centered. So if you visited our channel, 2-Bit Da Vinci Tech, we'll keep doing all the tech reviews, cameras, computers, electronics, and all the latest and greatest in terms of gadgets. And we will start to move over all of the more home related videos to this channel. So for a very first video, what I wanted to talk about today is how I built my own kitchen from scratch. And this was something that I had toyed around with for a while. When we remodeled our living room, we realized that we just left our old kitchen alone. We ran the tile to the perimeter of where the kitchen was and we just left it because we knew it'd be a lot of work and we weren't ready for it just yet. But 2 years ago, I finally decided to go ahead and try to build my own kitchen from scratch. So when I say from scratch, what I mean is every one of these cabinets I actually made, just started off as a big 4x8 sheet of plywood, and I built all the cabinets, the lower cabinets, all of the doors, all the drawers, and everything else. So the only two things that I didn't do were the granite countertops, which I paid someone to do, and also the electrical panel upgrade, because our kitchen is about 30 years old. So we actually only had one circuit running in here and we constantly tripped it when we'd run the microwave and the coffee maker or something like that. So we decided to upgrade and run 3 or 4 or 5 different circuits into the kitchen. We have a double oven now, so we had to get a new 200 amp service panel. So those are 2 things that I paid for. But the reason why I'm making this video is because when I did this, I wish that I had a video like this to watch to get an idea of what to expect and just how much you can save in terms of money and how long it'll take and how much work it really is to build your own kitchen. When you think about building a cabinet, for example, it seems like, oh, okay, yeah, it's a couple hours to cut all the wood and to assemble it. But what you don't realize is primer and paint and running lighting and circuitry for the top, installing it. It's a lot of work. And it took me a lot longer than I thought it would. And so that's what I wanted to share with you guys. So when I decided to get this started, I went and got a quote from a pro company who would have come in and done all of it. So our kitchen was pretty extreme because, for one, as you can tell, it's a pretty large kitchen. And 2, we had to move things around. So if you're just trying to remodel your kitchen, maybe you want to get new cabinet doors or paint them or stain them a new color to give a new kind of breath of life to it, that's probably a pretty economical way to go. But for us, we had to demolish everything. Our old kitchen was kind of a U-shape, and we'll show some pictures, but the old kitchen kind of ran in a U-shaped pattern right about to here. And then on that side was a breakfast nook. And the problem with that was it was just it was too small of an area, and it was the old-fashioned style where everything was kind of broken off. So instead we decided we'd do a big peninsula, have bar tables on the other side, and that we could have kind of a breakfast table over here into the center of the room rather than being kind of isolated. So we had to demolish everything. We had to demo all the way down to the studs, to the 2x4s, because again, we had to run new electrical. The walls were insulated, so that wasn't a problem, but we ran new electrical. We had to move the gas line from here over to the corner there. This is where the new range is located, right here. So it was pretty much the worst case scenario for us, because if you just had no kitchen at all, that would be cheaper because you don't have to demo anything. All the demo work I did myself, and it took a long time, but the quote that we got was $80,000 for all the electrical work, the granite, the tile, the countertops, all the cabinetry. And again, there's quite a few cabinets, as you can see here, and you can't see this side of the kitchen, but we'll show that as well. And all the appliances and everything else, we're talking $80,000. And so I thought, well, what if I built it myself and did all the work myself? How much would it cost me? So I kept track of everything, and I'm happy to report so far I've paid $22,000, including all the appliances and stuff. I mean, this granite alone was $5,500 just for the granite. So the actual cabinetry and stuff was very affordable. The plywood that I bought was about $55 a sheet, and I think I used about 20 sheets of plywood when it was all said and done. But that's a pretty substantial savings. So how long it took me, the first phase was to get the kitchen operable. So as you can tell, we started this work before the YouTube channel, so we couldn't share a lot of this with you. We'll throw some pictures together and kind of show you the before and after. But as you can tell, we're not done. We don't have doors yet. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna have 2 wood doors and then a glass door that opens vertically. And as you can tell, we have lighting in all the cabinets. We wanted to make that top kind of a display case, a little more elegant. So we still have doors to make. And if you can see here, the cabinets and stuff, most of the drawer fronts are done, but not all of them. There's still quite a few to do. And again, doors all around here. We have crown molding to put up, which is going to be the very first video we're going to do. So after we publish this video, we're gonna get to work on the crown molding, and we're gonna show you how to put up crown molding on a frameless cabinet. So our entire kitchen is frameless, meaning that we don't have a face frame. The cabinet is just like it is, as you can see here. So the pros of that is you get much more optimized space, which is what we wanted. The cabinets and stuff and all the drawers can go to the very edges. But as a result, there wasn't anywhere to mount the crown molding to. So I cut these slats out and I kind of spaced it from the top using one of these. This is the crown molding that we're gonna go with here, if you can see that. And I just kind of held it up and I figured out where to install it all. But that's the next project that we're gonna do. So from this moment to the end of this kitchen remodel, we're gonna cover all of it and share it with all of you guys. But bear with us for all the work we've already done that we're not gonna be able to share with you. The first phase took me 5.5 months. In 5.5 months, I was able to build all the bottom cabinets, demo everything, including we had a sub ceiling, which means that in the kitchen area, we actually had the ceiling was about 1 foot lower. And the reason why they do that in the older homes is because the cabinets, they could just mount to a lower ceiling and get away with getting shorter cabinets. But we have cabinets that go all the way to the ceiling, and we raised it back up. So that was a lot of work. All the drywalling and everything else was a lot of work. For about 2.5 months, we had no kitchen. And the reason why is because we actually built the cabinets with no kitchen. So the first step was to demolish everything and to clean up everything, the attic, the walls and everything else, the floor, and to get prepared. And then I started building cabinetry. Now from the first recommendation, the first lesson learned is to build the cabinets and store them somewhere. My garage shop is pretty small. We didn't really have anywhere to store these things. So we kind of built them one at a time and just kind of put them in place. But if you can build all your cabinets first, the great thing is then on a weekend you can demo, have someone come out and install it, and then get a granite person, and within about 10 days or so you can have your kitchen back up and not have to be without a kitchen for 2.5 months. But the reason why I didn't is because I didn't trust myself with my calculations and my measurements. This is my first time doing this kind of stuff. I'm really pretty new to woodworking and cabinet making, and so I didn't really trust my measurements. I was much more comfortable putting the piece here, taking a tape measure, and rather than building cabinet on cabinet with all those dependencies without really knowing if I was exactly right on. But now, knowing what I know now and trusting myself a little bit more, if I were to build a kitchen again in the future, I would have all my cabinets built, stored up in a shed, and then demo and put them in overnight. But for 2.5 months, my wife and I were washing dishes in our guest bathroom. We were cooking on a hot pot. It was like we were camping in our own house. It was pretty rough. That was just because of the way we chose to do it. You guys can probably be a little more efficient with your way. What I call phase one is getting a workable kitchen. And so phase one for me was when the countertops went back on. Once we had countertops and really backsplash as well, because it was water sealed, we were okay. And the proof is my motivation to get this done plummeted as soon as the countertops went on, because I felt like I could take a breath for the first time in 5.5 months, and that we could use the kitchen again, and we could actually be able to cook and have people over and not worry. And I've been kind of slowly building it over time. This entire pantry wall side, besides the double oven shelf, was undone. So this has been done in the last couple of months, and we have video of that as well. So cabinet making on this side, we will share with you on this channel as well. So that's also some good news. I had forgotten about that. We've just been doing it piecemeal, little by little. And that was kind of our philosophies. We stretched this cost. If we had someone come and do it, they would have had it done in about a month, less than that, probably 2-3 weeks. But we'd have to come up with $80,000 for them that day. And I don't like loans or going into debt and things like that. So what I liked is I could just slowly make progress over time and pay for all this stuff over time and get myself a working kitchen, and kind of a dream kitchen is what we wanted. That's what you can expect. It takes a long time to build all this stuff. And it is quite expensive. Now, again, $22,000, it's a big amount of money. But if you consider that where we live here in San Diego, home values are easily, like my neighbors, or a lot of them are in the millions. A kitchen like this will probably add $50,000 to $80,000 in equity into our house. And so if you have someone do the work for you, you'll never get every dollar back, but your home value will go up. But if you do it yourself, you can easily make $30,000 or $40,000 in equity just like that, and that's what we've done here, which is kind of cool. But it is a lot of work. For 6 months, I didn't have a social life. I didn't hang out with my friends. I wasn't going out. My wife, I told her, like, if you want to do something with your friends, you should go. I got to work. I got to get this done, because we had a hard deadline around our wedding time in November of 2015 to get this done because we'd have a lot of relatives over here. So there is quite a cost to you. It is a lot of work. So I was working every day after 5 p.m. after work, Monday through Friday, most days, at least 4 days out of the week. And then all day Saturday and all day Sunday. I took a couple of days off from work to keep working, and it was a lot of work. The reason why the kitchen probably isn't the best thing to start with is because it is really daunting. There's so much going on. There's so many little pieces, and it feels like it never ends. And there's times when I kind of lost it and I had to take a break for a while. And that's just kind of the reality of it. This is a really huge room. It is the center of your house. If you don't believe me, demolish your kitchen and be without it for a couple of months, and you'll realize very quickly just how central, how much goes on here. So if you're new to this and you're kind of thinking about getting your feet wet with some cabinet making or woodworking or renovations and things like that, maybe tackle like a guest bathroom or a master bathroom, something where it can be a mess for a little while and no one will really notice it, and it's a little bit smaller in scope. This is a pretty big kitchen and it's a lot of work. But a lot of savings, a lot of fun. I've learned a ton. I can build almost anything now. When I started, I had built one cabinet and it didn't come out perfect. It was actually pretty bad. And somehow, I got my dado stack on my table saw and I ran dados. And we'll talk more about that in a second. But I built this cabinet and it actually didn't come out very good. I hung it in the garage, and for whatever crazy reason, I thought I was ready to build a kitchen. But the good news is I slowly figured out what I was doing. I had some help early on from my buddies and my brother-in-law and my wife as well. And we got going, and we did a pretty good job of doing this stuff. But it is a lot of valuable lessons learned. And I think the biggest takeaway is, would I recommend that you build your own kitchen from scratch? I think the answer is it depends. If you're the kind of person who has that patience and the perseverance to keep going little by little and not get overwhelmed, it's probably a cool thing to try doing, because at the end of the day, I have so much pride in this kitchen. When we have friends come over or family come over, I have this sense of accomplishment, especially when we start telling the people, like, we built everything you see here. It is an incredibly rewarding feeling, but it does take a lot of your time. And if you've got kids, or you've got plans or work or other enterprises that you're doing, you got to really think if it's worth your time to do it. And there's no doubt it'll come out. You can probably do it. There's no doubt you'll save a ton of money. You'll have some fun. You'll have the pride. But you have to really make that call if it's worth your time. But as far as saving money goes, yeah, you can say that we got our dream kitchen, an $80,000 kitchen. And again, these prices are in California, where labor is very expensive. We live in San Diego, where it's one of the more expensive parts of the country. Where you live might be cheaper. Maybe you live in New York, maybe it's more expensive. I'm not sure. But these should be rough ideas and rough estimates for this stuff. $5,500 for the granite countertops, $2,000 for the electrical panel upgrade. And then other than that, everything else we pretty much did. So, and the appliances were not cheap either. A double oven. And, my wife wanted a 36-inch, 6-burner range with hood. That wasn't cheap. We got a farm sink, 36-inch, very big sink, automatic, sensor-based faucets and things like that. So we went pretty premium, but you could easily have done the same sort of a kitchen and spent much less if you wanted to go that route. But we were thinking, if we're gonna save all this money and do it ourselves, we wanted higher end treatment. And that's kind of what was our logic. Other things that include this wine cooler that I wanted to build in. I wanted to be able to have beer and wine, things that when we have friends come over, we can always have beverages cooled and ready here. So a wine cooler was built right in. We have a Lazy Susan closet there, a big sink drawer behind that, a nice quiet dishwasher, because again, open concept living room and kitchen, that kind of matters. You don't want that to be the loudest thing in the room. So we got a really quiet dishwasher, a nice cool drawer for the trash can and the recycling bin, and just a bunch of storage and a bunch of room for everything. And this is the area that you normally would be your oven, but because we have a double oven, we actually have huge space for all of our pots and pans and things like that, room for a nice big fridge, and a microwave that is a drawer style microwave that opens up and kind of comes with you. Just put it in perspective, a normal microwave might cost $100. This microwave was $1,000 because it's motorized, drawer style, and it's a really nice microwave. We love it. And we're definitely glad we paid the extra money for it, but it adds up pretty quick. But those are all optional things that you may or may not want to do. And you got to remember that if you want to do this kind of stuff, maybe you can just do the woodworking and pay someone else to do the electrical and the tiling and all the other stuff and the installation maybe even. Or maybe you just want to make doors. Maybe you just want to do one small part of it. You can always do that. You can always hire away the parts that you don't want to do and just do whatever little bits you want to do and still save a little bit of money. Maybe not as much as you would if you did all of it yourself, but it's not an all or nothing sort of thing. You can always do little pieces of it. The other advice that I would give to any of the woodworkers out there or cabinet makers or anybody who's handy, has a table saw, who's thinking about doing this kind of stuff, is to focus on one type of operation at a time. And what I mean by that is, the way I look at this kitchen, there were 3 operations really involved in most of the wood related products or projects. The first was cabinet making. So cabinet making includes big sheets of 3/4 inch plywood that you're cutting down into sizes like this. There's some standards that we have here. For example, our top shelves are all 14 inches long. Our bottom cabinets are all 35 inches tall. You know, there's some standards that go into that. Cabinet making was the first stage. So what I tried to do was build all the cabinets first. I didn't make the drawers for them or install them or anything else until after. And so I just did the cabinets. And so cabinet making is part 1. Part 2 is the drawers. So we have a lot of drawers here, and building these drawers, I just built 20 drawers at a time. So I would just build 1, 2, 3. There's 3 drawers pretty much in every cabinet. And I just built all the drawers at one time. And then I installed it with the hardware. We have the soft close Blum Motion hardware, which I highly, highly recommend. You can see here that it kind of looks almost invisible. It's undermounted. And when you open it, it has full extension. So you can reach the very back of your cabinet drawer very easily. And when you close it, it closes very softly. So it's it's another great little feature, a little add-on, a little upgrade that we had. So part 2 is drawers, and then part 3 is the doors. Doors and drawer fronts. So these drawer fronts here also were done in the same way as the doors, with tongue and groove, shaker style panels. And we did all those together at the same time as well. It's really hard to shift gears. The types of repeatable cuts that you're doing when you're building cabinets are very different from when you're making drawers or door fronts. The door fronts were more heavy on the router table than it was on the table saw. And so for that reason, what I found was switching gears all the time. Like for example, if I built one cabinet, then built the drawers for that cabinet, then did the drawer front for that cabinet, then put it all together, then move on to the next cabinet, I think I'd be more prone to mistakes, because there's a certain sense of repeatability that you kind of get in your mind. You kind of start to become a master of that. It's a very like short-term memory kind of a thing. But when you're in that mode, I think it's better just to get all those things done, then switch gears to the different aspects of it. And of course, then there's installation, crown molding, final trim, things like that. But that's pretty much my advice, guys. Would I recommend building your own kitchen? I would recommend you consider it, but I'll tell you right now, it is daunting. Total time, not including the breaks that I took, I'd say I'm about 8 months into it now, and I have a full-time job. And we're starting a YouTube channel now, so I don't have as much time as I used to. I have a 3-month-old son, I'm married now, so I definitely don't have as much time as I used to, but I'm about 8 months into it now. And I'm hoping to get it done in the next 1 or 2, and we will share all of that with you guys, so stay tuned. We're so glad you guys joined us. Subscribe, like, we'll be bringing you tons of great content. In the coming weeks, we're gonna share with you how to do crown molding for frameless cabinets. We're gonna share how to build doors and drawer fronts for cabinets, how to build dado style cabinets the way I believe you should, the best way to make cabinets, and any other little touches that we have left here in this kitchen. From now on, any remodeling that I do in my house, I'll be sure to share with you guys. So please leave us your comments, give us your feedback. Let us know what you want to see from us, what kind of interesting projects that you want to cook up or you have ideas for. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye.